Hi, welcome back to my podcast, Hosting Heaven. My name is Gabrielle Burton, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist with 10 years experience specializing in narcissistic and spiritual abuse. And I'm also the author of the book, The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a Gold Digger, Discovering the Hidden Treasures Within. It's a book that combines biblical and mental health principles to help you dive deeper into your relationship with God, yourself, and others. And today I am so excited with the guest that I have, my friend Dinisha Mingo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. I mean, okay, so if you don't know who she is, she has a very robust background here in the city, very much with mental health. So you are, would you say, is it the founder of Solutions of Change?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go ahead? Actually, I don't want to ruin it.
So I am the CEO of Mingo Health Solutions, which is a behavioral health company out here that does therapy and counseling, a ton of other things, as well as ABA services for kids with autism. We'll be celebrating 10 years,
Amazing.
March 26th. And then Solutions of Change is my nonprofit that provides free and low-cost therapy services for those who don't have insurance, can't afford it, otherwise underserved people. And so that's it in a nutshell.
Amazing.
5 years with Solutions of Change.
Incredible. I refer people to you often.
Thank you.
Yes, I know with Solutions of Change, you serve people who are undocumented, underinsured, and uninsured, right?
Uninsured and underinsured.
Okay, beautiful.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't mind getting into the conversation.
Yeah.
You never know what side you'll be on until you're in that position to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And so when the administration changed and we had to then change, it was, oh my God, it was such a wrestle with God because it's like, I am a justice person.
Yeah.
I am not gonna fold, right? You know, I always think of that Nemo, I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but poem, like first they came for the Indians and they came for the Chinese and they came for, then when they came, who was there when they came for me?
Wow.
And so I am a person who's an advocate for others and realizing that who else loses services by trying so hard to keep services for a group of people.
Yeah.
And so making that very difficult decision and looking at what the ramifications would mean for so many others who need us. A definite growing moment. I'll tell you this last 3 years as a nonprofit founder has been some of the more trying ones. I'm like 10 years of business. I haven't been in it. I've been sued for other people, right?
Wow.
That's when you're like, okay, I'm getting my stripes.
That's right.
But nonprofit is its own thing, and I've had to grow a lot as a founder, but I will say that was one of the more difficult decisions to make.
Wow.
And it really was still not about keeping SOC going, but thinking of the other people who would lose care. And those are hard decisions.
I mean, that I think is a very valuable conversation to have. Those are, like you said, really difficult decisions. And like you said, you're such a justice person and you want to make sure that you can serve so many. And undocumented people are definitely people who need services. So if you want to go more into how'd you come to that? I know
there was a lot of things happening, right, with grants and federal grants. And in fact, we, and I don't know if this directly has something to do with it or if the fact that we are an organization that serves primarily black and brown, not by design, but by need, right? And we offer culturally, congruent, responsive services. So the administration changed, right? And part of it was like, well, if they're not going to even be able to be here, then, how much do we lose by saying, not you, the heart tug, right? The God tug, the founder who cares about people, like all of these things, making these decisions with my deputy director and having to feel like the bad guy, right? Yeah. There's all these tabs that you have to deal with one at a time to make that type of decision. But ultimately it was the administration.
Wow.
And then when it came to federal grants, there were a lot of things in those grants that the language literally in there is speaking to, you cannot serve. And if you have, and so this turned into another thing, if you get a federal grant, you had to commit to making your organization open to auditing, and they can also go and look at past people you've served and get addresses and things like that. So then there was a while where we're like, well, we're not going to apply for federal grants because even though we're not serving them going forward, we want to protect and being in our field. So yeah, it was the administration and even leading up to 2025. So that was 2024.
Yeah.
And then in September of 2025, Solutions to Change lost our major mental health block grant.
Wow.
That was $700,000.
Wow.
And in December of 2025, we had to lay off 9 of our 12 people.
Wow.
And just in 5 years, Solutions to Change has served over 25,000 people.
Amazing.
So a time that I was going through a lot of bitterness, anger, hurt, difficulty in making decisions that was even somewhat debilitating, because it's like you got to move forward. People looking at you, but it's like the weight of this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
There was still a season for it and what God was teaching, but that was like probably the most difficult thing. Like I cried every day in November, December almost.
Wow.
I can tear up thinking about it. I was waking up crying, like, am I depressed? But it was grief. Because who wants to look at people in their faces and say, you don't have a job anymore, not because you're not performing, but because the money isn't there, especially when we have been having these conversations since the administration change. And we're pretty much guaranteed that we were going to be safe with our grant. And so I don't think that the loss of the grant directly had to do with serving undocumented people or any of that, because we had stopped that. But
yeah.
I wonder how much of it had to do with you primarily serve this community, or you primarily look like this community, or perhaps you're not a big enough organization and so much funding got cut for mental health and we need to reallocate it to maybe an organization that can maybe reach more or match it. There are so many questions that that maybe we'll never get answered, but it was the manner in which it was done, the timing in which it was done. But to God be the glory, we are still here, we are still serving, and it was gratitude, right? So, I mean, even the purpose of this podcast, it was gratitude. I had began to feel bitter because I know how much I served in this community, and I was angry at a lot of people. I was angry at people who I thought should be more helpful, that I felt like I had helped. Angry at like the system, angry at like God, like what are you doing? How do you let us get this far and do this kind of work? And the impact that we're making, the trauma that we're healing in the workforce.
Yeah.
People who have worked for us have become believers. People who have worked for us have talked about how coming into our workplace was healing their own previous work trauma because of the types of toxic environments, which I never have really had to experience it like that. I've been an independent person since like 22. So it's like, Lord, there's so much goodness here.
Yeah.
And that bitterness was like making me fatigued, and I like felt it more heavily. Like there was like a week I got some information about something, and the ruminating and the all of that. And I went on a walk and I started to pray, and God said, lean into gratitude. And this was in December, and I just began to think of all the gifts that SOC had been.
Amen.
And when I did that, and that I have been saying the number, but I hadn't digested it.
Yeah.
25,000 people in 5 years.
That's amazing.
7,000 of that was due direct therapy and family support, and
Wow.
then the other 17 was through our community support. We know psychoeducation is such a big piece
of
prevention and recovery. And it was like, who can say that? Like, Lord, you used me as a vessel.
Amazing.
To give a vision, to create a place, to hire the right people to carry it, and to do the work. And then all of that anger and bitterness and fear and worry began to lift just from gratitude.
Yeah.
And then I was able to be like, okay,
I'm
gonna listen to what you're saying in this season, how you're trying to teach me and grow me, because I know it's not over. Because I was even like, if it's over, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm at a place in my career that I have no desire to hold on to something that you are saying is done.
That part.
But he was saying, no, there is a trimming in this season, and I think I am seeing now also like what it was for me as a leader to grow, also for the organization, and reimagining what it can look like now. And so 2026 has proven God's word to be what it was.
Amen.
But I tell you what, going through was difficult, and I probably go cry every time I think about it, at least for a year.
Yeah.
Because, just like I can empathize it with you, if you were to tell me a story about something I never experienced, I can empathize with myself who is experiencing that. It doesn't mean that over it. It's just like, I know what that felt like. And when I remember that, then the emotions are there. But it doesn't mean that haven't resolved it.
Right. Well, thank you for giving us.
Sorry.
No, why are you apologizing?
Pivot all the way that way.
No, hey, we got there. Right?
Amen.
And I think that it's important to give insight as to what, one, a founder goes through when you're really trying to make such an impact for a huge community, right?
Yeah.
And it's not even for you. But yet, like you said, you're taking lashes as you're fighting and you're advocating and you're coming up against systems to really help fight for other people's freedom. You are a liberator by nature, but then also the grief and the weight that you have to carry as you're doing that type of work. And so I just commend you for that.
Thank you.
There's so many people that are following behind you because of all of the barriers that you are choosing to tear down. And yet the spiritual warfare that you experience, I'm sure, is massive.
Thank you.
I also do want to take time to thank you, because there have been several times throughout the years where I have done something, a coaching program, and you have literally said, we want to sponsor somebody, and you've paid to send someone to a coaching program. Just so sweet of you. I really appreciate that. And as busy as you are, I know you're going and you're also getting your PhD. We'll get into all the things you're doing.
Yeah.
But you take the time to see people. You take the time to honor people. You take the time to celebrate people. And that, to me, is what an amazing leader does.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that, because honestly, that's just natural for me. But the heart that I have, my head is always like, oh, it's not enough, right? You didn't show up, or you didn't do this. And so learning to receive that and know that just as much as I see, I am seen.
Yeah.
Because I'll feel so guilty when I can't be there for what I think is a big moment. I'm a celebrator and I'm a supporter, because one of the things is letting people know that they're seen, but showing them that you support them. You can do that with your time, talent, or your treasure.
That's right.
Or all, right?
That's right.
But also, I love when I see other people doing things that are needed that are not my calling.
Amen.
And so I know this circle of life and what other people need. So it's like, that's not my calling and my gifting, but you're doing it. But let me go ahead and amen that.
That's right.
And so into it. So that's really where it came from. So thank you for... Girl, I forgot.
That's so sweet. I could think of at least, I think, 2 different times that you did that. And I was like, thank you. So sweet, so kind. Like I said, you've got so many people that you're helping, you're supporting, and you took the time. I want to bless you. I want to send somebody to your program. I'm like, thank you so much. That means a lot. Yeah.
It's the least, right?
And I agree with you. I'm the same way. Look, I have someone right now who's talking about wanting to start a domestic violence group. I said, you do that. Amen. And let me send all the people to you, because I'm not doing that. Right?
Yes, right. That's what it has to be.
Better you than me, because you know what I mean? Everybody, and the thing is, what I don't have is hidden in someone else.
Yeah.
Right?
Amen.
And I think life is like a treasure hunt. I wrote a book, it's called The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a Gold Digger, and the whole premise of my book is that, life is a treasure hunt, and we got to be going on this journey of finding out what the gold is in other people.
Yeah.
And so when I see the gold in you, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to say, you.
That's what we're supposed to do.
You're a leader. You're a drummer. You're a pet. And call people out in their giftings, because we all, as believers, we have to be in our rightful position.
That's it.
If you're not in your rightful position, we are not effective, right?
You're talking my language.
So I'm like, a good leader knows. A good leader, one, can spot another leader.
That's it.
But they also are going to put them where they're going to succeed.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Set them up for success.
That's right.
And properly position, you're speaking to that one body, many members. We all have a role. We all have a part. I love what you're saying about the premise of your book and all transparency and all the ways I support it. I don't think I have your book, which is crazy, because that's easy. Buying a book is like a book. Now I'm like, whoa, I'm going to read it. Forgive me.
No, you're okay.
And I'll tell you thank you, because you said you sent a lot of people to SLC, because I know you don't play about unethical or poor quality services. Mm-hmm. So if you say not only that you refer, but you refer multiple times,
yes, ma'am,
then that's a testament to the quality of our work. So thank you for that.
You're welcome, girl. Yeah, because if it's not it, I'm not.
She is not.
I'm not sending you there. I'm like,
Gabrielle, did she say? If we pass that gold star, everything golden over here.
Gold star over here. Gold star. No, seriously. I always talk about you guys. I also think you guys have great culture.
Thank you.
Your team is amazing.
They are fantastic.
You
they
guys,
make me look good.
You guys have a lot of fun over there. I mean, you guys are throwing parties and galas, and I'm like, you guys are so fun.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I think that, one of the things I've always said, even with starting MHS, is like, man, the work has to be the hardest part about the work. And even listening to you share about some of your previous experience, and you're like, it's never my clients. It broke my heart to hear that. Because not that the client should be the problem, but that should be the hardest part about the work. Like what's happening in that therapy room, figuring out the best interventions, or just holding space for the pain that comes. So it's always been my mission to create a good, especially in this industry, a good workplace environment, because it's like, we got to enjoy it. We spend a majority of our time here, but the work that we do is so hard. And at any moment, a crisis can happen, but our therapists are in there all day doing this hard work. I got a responsibility, not just because I want to be a good leader and business owner, but like to the field that I'm creating that space. And it ebbs and flows. I think most of the time it's flowing, if that's the positive side of the ebb and flow. But of course, sometimes you gotta, fix things, get people out, and fix it. But I think overall, in general, I can say I think we've had a good, positive culture, and placing the right people in place too. Like our leaders over at SOC especially have just been fantastic with carrying out the vision of the culture, and I do get to kind of be on the back and be the bad guy.
But that is such a testament to who you are as a leader, though, right? A good leader can build a really good team, and then you also you kind of duplicate yourself to the point where you're like, I don't need to be here. I trust that they got it, and I've seen that. I remember when you guys had opened your building, I think for SOC. I was there for that opening, and I'm like, you guys.
I don't even think I was there. Was I?
You were there. I'm pretty sure you were there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you were there.
Oh my God, so many years, so many grand openings,
Girl,
so many open houses. Okay, sorry.
So much fun. And then you guys are just like, you creatively reach the community. That's what I also love. Like you guys just did a panel, right? Men's panel. You'll throw in some creative stuff in there. I love.
And that was MHS.
Oh, that was MHS. Okay. I love.
It's okay. I know.
Because there's a business, and then I'll pop it. Irregardless.
The mission, I'll say this. I think this is why it's confusing, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
It's because the missions are the same.
Yeah.
Like I was always giving back with MHS, and that's part of why SOC birthed. And even in SOC's thought inception, I didn't even know that much about nonprofit. I was doing it because I saw a barrier. But then God was like, you don't even know what you're creating, and this is how this works on the business side. But the reality is, like, SOC is like the heart of some of the things MHS couldn't be. Yeah. But MHS is always still going to do that. So, I mean, I can see why it's hard to differentiate them because their missions are the same.
So let's break it down, though, then. So MHS
is Mingo Health Solutions. Right. That is the for-profit. We accept insurance. We do domestic violence. We do the ABA services, like I said. We actually now are integrated care. So we have medication management, psychiatric, and a primary care.
Amazing. That's awesome.
And Solutions of Change is the nonprofit. So it's the free and low cost, no insurance yet. And, it was better because I'll tell you, I was running my business like a nonprofit. And those were some of the early business lessons.
There you go.
Like, and then even like when you talk about, I appreciate the feedback as a leader. I'm constantly growing, but some of those things are like when you have to make those hard decisions, worrying about if people think that you really care because you got to steward over better what God has entrusted into your care. And so just going through that, and those were lessons I had to learn with MHS, and then knowing that, hey, if I don't take care of me, how can I be here to take care of everyone? Right? Our classic, put your mask on first. So it's a continual process that I know I'm not necessarily here to talk about.
No, it's okay. Listen, this is your space. We can talk about whatever you want to. I will say, I think that there's a lot of hats that you have to wear as a leader, and then you talk the business side, and then there's the hard side of, therapy and all of that. I was talking to you about some of the systems that I worked in. Yeah. Really difficult as a provider and the person who is the heart, and how the head is disconnected at times. And I've not only seen this in, business spaces as I do therapy, I've also seen this in ministry at times, where ministry is ran more like a business, and the head is running everything, but we're disconnected from the heart. Yeah. And it's really tough because we're working with people at the end of the day. Yeah. I know that you, though, say more about your education, because you have a master's in.
Yeah, so, and I'll tell you, we can circle back there, but I have had my head disconnected at times.
Really?
Right? And had to get back to the heart. And such
Okay.
a, so even when we get into this from a leadership perspective for ministry and or business in this space, I had to be transparent as I have,
Yeah.
even when I thought it was right. But anyways, master's in educational psychology.
Yeah.
And then 2021, I went back to school to pursue my PhD. And in that program, I got another master's in psychology. Currently working on my master's in divinity as well as my PhD in clinical psychology.
Love that.
God willing, in about 3 years.
Yes. What's your goal? What are you, a pastor, future pastor?
No, well, people always ask me that, and I'm like, no, I think I've been doing it in my own way. And I'll tell you, you can't get me to be nobody's pastor. It's hard enough to get people to do what you need them to do when you're paying them. Can you imagine when you're not?
Hilarious.
But I do know that I'm a minister and I'm a speaker. And maybe somewhat of still a little bit of an elitist. So it's like, I'm going to go back because the master's in theology came built in with my program. But because I am a minister and a speaker, I wanted to make sure I had, that's really what sets those two apart. Like Bible study versus, pastoring, but, the oration, I have it naturally, but just, the homiletics, hermeneutics, and, so I think that I already have a ministry in my own way with Healing to Health.
Absolutely.
Right? Even the mental health and the businesses, but Healing to Health, which is a ministry I started in 2017, bringing the dialogue of mental health to the faith-based community.
Love it.
I'm like, okay, maybe that's it, Lord, but I don't see myself, and I do believe in the body and the building.
Yeah.
Especially. But I don't see myself. I don't feel that call.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we are all royal priests anyway, so
yes.
Sorry to say you already are a pastor, but no, I think everything that you're doing is incredible. I would say that you are using all of your gifts. When you think of the parable of talents, you are not the one who is burying your talents. You have absolutely went out and multiplied, and you can look back and see all the people that you've blazed the trail for. So if you never did another thing, girl, I think you're good. Okay, I definitely think you're right. I'm like you can sit down if you want to.
Oh,
but
you.
Yeah, you've done a great job.
I heard someone say this, a few years ago, the graveyard is the richest place on earth, right? Because so many gifts died there, and I was having that conversation with someone else a few weeks ago, and they said die empty. So hearing you say that to me, then at least, hey, I still got purpose here, but okay, I hope I die empty.
Yeah.
So you're affirming that.
Yes.
Hey, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So I thank you.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I've always known you for years, and whenever I talk to you, you're always doing something. My question for you is, what do you do to decompress or relax? How do you take care of you?
Yeah. So it used to be travel, but then that became, I went through a space where God was like, I need you to find what you get there here. I need you to be able to create it here. So a lot of mindfulness, a lot of friend time. I mean, honestly, it changes sometimes month to month. I knew the end of last year was go season. And I did do some traveling, but I realized that weight wasn't lifting off me until that situation was done. Then January, being more social, and because the last part of last year was all work, trying to rebuild. Then I was able to get some socializing. I'm back here in my city because I've been living in Pasadena, and that was really good for my spirit. But then I started going fast, so I was constantly figuring out what my pace is. And so then this past week, I was like, I need to go home to Pasadena, and I was only planning to go for 3 days, and then I ended up staying for the week. And I feel so much better because I need that. So a lot of mindfulness, definitely prayer.
Yeah.
I talk a lot, I'm a great listener, but don't talker, as you know.
Yeah.
So time spent with friends, and then just, figure out, sometimes it's exercise and then the mountains, and sometimes it's the beach, and sometimes it's vegging out and doing nothing and binge watching something. And so it just varies, but I think the most consistent thing is just trying to find my pace, practicing gratitude and mindfulness.
Yeah, beautiful. This is more being, again, a little probably nosy, but I'm sure the viewers would want to know, but I'm curious, so you are single?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Are you dating anybody or?
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay, great. That's awesome. Okay. I am just curious though. You've been mostly single, not married?
Never married.
Okay. I'm curious as to how that has played into just all of your career. Has that affected your love life? Has that,
Yeah, I mean, I think it has. I don't think I realized that it did, but this is why it's so important, like what you tell your children. Because I remember my mom saying, like, go for your dreams, don't stop, and make sure you can depend on yourself. Never like speaking about don't be in a relationship, but just that mindset. And I know that a lot of that advice came from her own place. So I was laser focused. I was also parentified, so pretty much very mature for my age. So even when I was in college, I wasn't really interested in the peers.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't date, in high school. But a lot of cultural differences while we might have intellectual similarities. And so I don't think I was ever really in environments with people who probably fit well with me intellectually and culturally. So I think that may have played into it. And then as I began to embark on my career, I think I was like definitely missing messages because I was just focused. Like, you got to tell me right to my face. And then over years,
you gotta spell it out. Like,
yeah, I'm a direct person.
You better come up to me with a ring because I am so focused right now.
Yeah, well, and also I'm like nice. So like a lot of times people men would think I was flirting with them.
Yeah.
Like folks would say all the time, you doesn't seem like you're from Vegas. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. So just my personality is one that, I never would have used this word before, like 3 years ago, but charismatic, warm, welcoming. And so I connect easily with people. So I'm not always thinking that someone treating me a certain way is
they were showing interest.
Yeah, they were showing interest. You gotta just let me know. So I think I missed some cues. I also think that what I learned in retrospect was that some men, like social media, I'm like, well, I don't want that man anyway, because any wise person knows that you can't base it off that. And if I look like I only work on social media because that's what I'm showing, like, that's on you. Have a conversation with me. You'll see I'm funny.
I was just talking about that. I was like, social media.
Yeah.
If I had it my way, I would never do social media.
Yeah.
But that, unfortunately, is not what I'm called to do. But yeah, I think sometimes people will make preconceived notions about you based on social media, and you're like, that is like my public.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I remember one time during COVID doing like this dance video, and like a lot of men was like, "Oh, Danisha's dancing." I'm like, "What do y'all think? What do y'all think?
What do you think I do?"
You're okay with her. You're calling her. She's like being empathetic and listening to you cry and not judging. You have to know that I'm not just all business, but
yeah.
Some men don't like to hear this. That when you say intimidated, but I have heard men, like I dated one man, he was fantastic. And at the time that we began dating, there was some business things that I was doing that I didn't tell him at the time because it wasn't his business. But then as our relationship was furthering, he was like, well, I need to be the breadwinner and this, and this. And there was an age difference. And he's like, and if you're doing this now, then what does that mean? But what I appreciate about him is that he was honest. He said, I'm not intimidated by you, but it makes me insecure about what this will mean for our relationship. So I think that with me advancing so young in my career has definitely created a dynamic. Like, I've had people who have very solid careers, and then they're like, they see your office and they're like, oh, I'm not doing this. And I'm thinking like, shoot, I need that consistent paycheck. You don't even know what this entrepreneurship is. Like, I respect your job.
Man, I always say there ain't no hood like entrepreneurhood, okay?
Listen, so I think it's played into it by perception. So yeah, I think it has. And I went through a time where I was like around getting to my 30s. I think what it was, like, I was like, dang God, I've seen the fruit of everything I put my focus on. I don't like to use the word manifest, but I've seen the fruit of everything I put my focus on. This was something on the back burner. It's like, yeah, I know I want to be married one day, but I didn't put my intention there.
Yeah,
intention.
That's right.
So I began to be more intentional, and then you get discouraged. Yeah. But I have to realize you've been putting 20 years, you've been working on this stuff even since you were a child. So don't get it. So then I think I bring up being discouraged because I think those are times that I'm like, well, I'll forget it, right? Let me get back to what's comfortable, what I know, instead of like sticking it out. But I'm dating now, and actually, I think finally the people who match, so coming out of your environment and your community, because I know that I am set apart in certain ways.
That's right.
That can conflict with what I like, what's familiar.
Yeah.
But then it's like hard to like find the me's, right? Who's the me that can like laugh and joke and still be an intellectual and watch Eddie Murphy and these types of things. I'm a full dynamic person, and I expect the same from others. So I think we're still finding, but it's nice to be dating right now.
I love that. That's beautiful. I definitely think that that's so helpful and so needed because, yeah, you are someone that is hard to lock down, girl. You just go, the Energizer Bunny. And so I love that you found someone that you're really enjoying.
But I think also the thing is I put time for what matters.
That's right.
Like my work has never been an issue in a relationship.
Good. Okay.
So it's just a matter of people having the courage, and giving it a chance, and then knowing that accepting your strengths with your weaknesses.
That's right.
You like a strong-minded person when it's helping you get results, and you don't like it when it's holding you accountable.
That part.
I can do both. Listen, hold me accountable. My friends will tell you are so accountable.
Yeah.
You'll apologize, you acknowledge, but when people aren't at that place, and I don't care to compromise on certain values.
Yeah.
Now I've had to learn because I've been independent, like where it. And I will tell you this. You ever seen the movie Mona Lisa Smile?
Mm-hmm.
So people would always think that I was like some feminist, like what the heck? Just because I'm like a dynamic woman operating all her gifting.
Yeah.
And even one of my friends started to derail. Like one of my friends' ex-husband said, like, women aren't normally as direct as you. And I said, what? I said, that's patriarchy. And like,
let's get
into
it.
Leadership, right? Like that, just because they aren't, and you might like a woman who's not, so that you can abuse your power over her. Like, so, but we're not gonna say, oh no, that's what he told me. He said that I acted like a man and I was masculine. I said, how?
Wow.
How? Like I'm not. Oh, because you're direct. I said, so you're saying that being direct is being masculine versus the mark of like a good leader and just, a straightforward person. But anyhow, I love the movie Mona Lisa Smile because in that movie, this like during the 50s and Wellesley and Julia Roberts is like this major feminist and trying to get all these women to utilize their gifts. They're going to Wellesley, which is a prestigious, woman college. And Julia Roberts is the one trying to liberate, but Julia Stiles is like, I don't want to get married. I don't want to go be this attorney. And I remember seeing this in high school because I was always driven. Like, I love what I do. I can have all the money in the world and I would not stop, right?
Yeah.
So for me, this is not a badge of honor. It's my call.
Yeah.
But I love that idea that you can do and be what you're called to be. Yeah. And some of us are meant to be more leader-esque and builders. And some of us are more, stay-at-home mother or part-time or any of that. Those haven't ever been like ideals in my mind, but I think people project them onto you.
Totally.
Because you're operating in your call.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's important for women. Like I'm a strong believer, you make your choice. I think I joke with my friend.
Yeah.
When I'm out traveling and on the beach by myself, and she has her family and children. I got a lot of friends, so. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I just wish I could be with you. And I'd be like, you made your choice, right? But when she's going on a family trip and they're posting all these beautiful pictures or she's sharing them with me and I'm like, oh, that would be nice. And then she'll joke back with me, you made your choice. So for young women, I just think that it's important to be intentional about everything. Because I do think me not being focused on it is also my responsibility and perhaps why I'm single.
Yeah, I love that you said all of that. I think that is so huge. And I think, sometimes it's almost like people think you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah. I
do like a quote that Michelle Obama says, and she says, you can have it all, just not all at once. And I actually really love that, right?
True.
Because it's like, here's the thing, you probably can't be like the best wife and the best business owner and the best mom and the best this and the best that, right? There are seasons for everything.
That's it.
And so I think that it's okay to acknowledge, what season you're in. And then, everybody also has to be operating in their giftings and their calling.
Yeah.
And I can relate. I've been, I'm single and people will say things like, oh, whenever you get your man. And I'm like, I think sometimes it's the language that we use where it's like your significant other. And I'm like, I am not a half significant person. Okay. I am not, I'm a whole. And I'm where God has me right now.
That's it.
Right? And I think too, like we forget Jesus was single. Paul even said, I wish you were more like me, right? Because your interests are not divided, so I can be all about my Father's business. And you've been about your Father's business and you've been a mother to many.
Yeah.
If you think about how many people you've been able to literally heal and deliver, come on, somebody. Deliver healing. Right? Hallelujah. And so we thank God for the seasons because, there are people that aren't called to do something like that. And so if you didn't answer that call, there'd be so many people who would not be getting the care that you have been able to help cultivate. And so I just love that you mentioned that. I do want to get into the patriarchy though.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we were voice memoing and we were talking patriarchy and abuse of power, and I said let's go in, because I do think that is a huge thing that I'm passionate about, really bringing awareness to and dismantling. So I'm gonna have you start this conversation.
Yeah. I think some of the biggest things, and I don't want to get too biblical, right?
Yeah.
I'm still taking my theology classes, but even just from a broader perspective, right? One of the things that I think people don't realize that patriarchy does is it hurts the family whole, which therefore the community and the church, right? We have these identities or these images of God that are not representative to mankind. Adam, mankind, not male. But the bigger piece of it, especially when you think about it from a mental health perspective, is like, patriarchy gets in the way of the male and the female, or the feminine and the masculine, come together harmoniously as one to carry out right the plan of God on this earth. And when we see that in the church through saying what women can't do and what they can be and what gifts are not, like imagine, right? Imagine if I couldn't be a business owner and doing the work that I'm doing, and we're not just talking about like business and mental health, but the saving and the souls. Like imagine if I couldn't do that, right? Who would be impacted? And so I think the flip side of it that people mess up is that patriarchy hurts men. Because now it's giving them these standards and belief systems of what a man is supposed to be. So now that man has to meet these standards of masculinity versus being human. So now they're not accepting the help. Now they're not able to be humble when they don't have a gifting, and perhaps partner and pair with someone who can, so that they will be well. So now there's all this pressure on them to be masculine because you want to oppress somebody else. And now you don't have your proper help. And then there's this dismantling in God's intention for the man and woman to come together for ministry, and then we see it trickling down in the church and saying, well, women can't do. And I mean, that's kind of where a lot of where I was thinking. And then just like this abuse of power overall, right? This use, I mean, we see it across different things, cultural things, as well as gender things. But then that abuse of power, and you're asserting, it's all about preservation, but it's getting away from God's original intent.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you mentioned how it does affect men. Because, well, for one, I think we have, masculine and feminine, all of that is socially constructed for one.
Right.
Okay? Because we're all born sex, but not gendered.
Right.
So male, female, or some people are born with both parts. That does happen. But then you talk about our expression. That is socially constructed. We say women are supposed to be soft and docile and and men are supposed to be right? And so those are social constructs that do hurt people. Because you might have a woman who is more masculine in how she presents, and doesn't make her any less of a woman. Right? Or a man who is more expressive and more creative, doesn't make him any less of a man. I do think, though, that is what creates a lot of confusion.
It is.
In our society overall. And, now there's so much of like, well, maybe I'm all these different things. It's like, no, you're allowed to express however you want to be. You're not any less of a human. You're not any less of made in the image of God. We just want to understand we want to understand you and learn you so we can love you better. And I
like that you said that.
And I think that's a problem sometimes in the church as well, because another thing I think, and I love that you work with certain people with autism, we don't talk about neurodiversity. Neurodiversity is a huge thing that is not going anywhere. It's actually, we're still just learning about it. But people express themselves very different who are neurodivergent. Even honestly, sexual orientation and all of that can be very different with people who are neurodiverse. And just really trying to understand each person. And I think for me, I had a friend who said to me, she said, if you were going to address the church at large, how would you do that? Like, what would be a message you could give to the whole church? And I said, it's really difficult. It's so hard to give a message that would land across the whole church. Why? Because we are so diverse. You have people who are really charismatic, and then you have people who are here who are more real line by line and all of that. And then there's different things. There's different issues and things that are going on in each church. Now, the reason why I like doing what I do with Hosting Heaven is I get to do church and I get to host heaven by getting to know one person's story at a time. That's how we do church, is we get to see each person as an individual, and we want to learn, how do you experience the world through your socioeconomic status, through your race, through your gender, through your ability, through your age, right? All those different things affect the way someone shows up in the world. And instead of trying to tell them, this is what a Christian has to look like, this is what a man has to look like, this is what a woman has to look like, this is what you should want as a woman, right? This is what you should desire as a woman. And it's like, or are you projecting? Are you uncomfortable? Are you uncomfortable because I don't fit the mold or the thing that what you think it should be?
Well, and it essentially comes back to telling people that they're not in God's image.
Wow, there you go.
If you look at the attributes of God, God is caring, God is loving, God is a provider, God is a protector, God is going to hold you in your arms and catch every tear. God is the expression of all of us. And even when you talk about neurodivergence or disabled, ableism versus disabled people or people who are different, right? So that would be my message to the church, right? All of you are reflections of God, should you so choose to be. We are the Imago Dei. And what Patriarchy and then all these other archies did under it is tell people that they are not in God's image. So now I got to look to you to find God, versus me liberating you for you to find God for yourself, and you to find God in you and find you in God, and then go and give that to the world. Because if I can walk out and be like, man, I'm Dinisha and all my boisterousness and big personality, like this is a form of, this is a way that God is working through me. And then likewise, you who might be more mild-tempered and calm and soothing, whatever, but you too. Many members, one body.
That's right.
And we don't allow for that. And then, when you think about, I read this book called The Disabled God. Oh my God, it was so good. And I hadn't even thought about ableism as much. I think that's what I'm loving the most about seminary, is taking my mind beyond like the cultural things that I'm, used to from the mental health perspective, but thinking about like, what messages have we given people that have made them feel like if a person is born disabled, can you imagine a disabled God? If God is supposed to be fully and then if God allowed them to be born this way, and now everything that says, oh, this must be a disease or a spirit or something that's keeping you disconnected from God. Like, well, what message are you sending to that person about how God loves them?
That part. If you already telling somebody that they're not good enough as they are, that is, it makes the feeling of coming to God so difficult. Like, it's just and God doesn't say, Jesus wasn't like, clean yourself up and then I'll love you. He just loves you. And you also think, I love thinking about this, the diversity of his disciples that he had. Okay, so he had doubting Thomas. Okay, he had Peter, who would literally deny him 3 times. So if you think about the emotions that these people had, right? Doubt. And then he had fear and probably anxiety, right? He had all these different emotions that he had. You have Judas.
And was self-preserving. Don't hurt me. Get him.
That's right. And yet he still died for all these people that were so diverse in his group. And I think this is where I think the church lacks. We lack in love the laying down your life for a brother love. Because the minute that someone doesn't reflect the way we want them to, show up the way we want them to, we're cutting them off because I got to protect my peace, or, and I'm like, that's not how we're called to love. We are called to see the God in everybody. We're called to, get to say, hey, I want to dig for the treasure in you. I'm curious about what do you have and how do you experience God? What are the revelations that he's brought you? And there's some amazing, listen, I think everybody can be your teacher. I've learned things from my godsons. One of my cousins, when he was like 2-3 years old, he said the funniest thing, where I remember I was taking him to church with me one day, and I said, we're going to go and you're going to go to school and make new friends, Bible study school or Sunday school. And he goes, oh, is my friend Jack and so-and-so going to be there? Listing off all these friends. And I said, no. I I said, you're going to make new friends. And he crosses his arms and goes, I don't have to. And I was like, you're right, you don't have to. He was telling me boundaries. And I'm like, you were reminding me about boundaries, right? But anybody can be your teacher. We can learn about people who are disabled and how they find ways to work around their disability and still show up. And then you look at them and I go, dang, if they can do it, I know I can.
And I imagine how encouraging that is. But if we put them down,
that's right,
then we don't give them the opportunity to work through it and be an inspiration. And I think that's like another thing that patriarchy has done is kept us worried about the wrong things. Like I almost got some of my friends. Like I have to be mindful about what I say because I realize that the perception is that I'm this strong woman, right? And then I'm just like me, right? Just operating my gifts. Like, oh man, I'm so weak. I'm so weak because how could God be carrying me and be strong for me, right? And in my close circle, man, they see the big old baby in me being transparent, right, about my issues. But that's not for everyone. But it keeps us fighting about the wrong things. And so I was having a conversation with some of my friends about, the order of the family. And it's not worth having that conversation, but like patriarchy keeps us fighting about it. Because it's not about who was created first. Yep. Right? Because mankind was created first. But that's not really what it's about. What is it about is that God created us in his image and said that we shouldn't be alone, so we should come together. But patriarchy got your mind so hung up on the man got to be first in the order of the household. And it's not that you should because you got to have structure in any type of unit anyhow for it to function and move properly. So it's not about women overpowering men or dishonoring what a male brings to the family. And it's also not about the man saying you are less than me because you were made second when you really weren't. But they have, in order to keep you down, I gotta feed you bad theology to keep you in that place. Because that's not what we really need to be caring about. What we really need to be caring about is the unit and the body and the ministry and movement, not who came first or second. Right. Like, why does that matter? Why does it matter if we think God is has both genders or is male or not? I'm not saying that God is one or the other. What I'm saying is that I think patriarchy keeps us fighting about the wrong things, so we're not dealing with the real issue of it. Because now people are like fighting against oppression. Sometimes they don't even know that it's there, like the pedagogy of the oppressed, right? So I think that's how it dismantles the plan of God here on this earth, right? Because that becomes more self-serving than God serving. That part, yeah. I mean, the enemy is real crafty. If he can get us to fight. Yeah. He does not have to kill us if he can keep us distracted. Yeah. Right? So, and we already know we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities. And so the enemy, though, he's very crafty and he wants to keep us at odds with one another. Yeah. If we're able to say, you matter and I matter. Yeah. We all can matter at the exact same time. And I am not competing with you because I know who I am. Yeah. I know what I'm called to do and I'm going to stay in my lane. Do you know what you're called to do? And if not, how do we help you get there, right? How do we point you in the right direction? And I think as people continually focus on their own individual calls, I think that would help us not be so focused on what everybody is or isn't doing. And we don't have these opinions about... But not only that, I need you. That part. Right? So I got to focus on this, but I need you to know that, like, not only is it meaningful and necessary for you to find your own place, because I need you. That's right. Ubuntu, where I am, because we are. How can this happen without all of us? So when I recognize that the God in me needs the God in you, then I have a complete responsibility to help liberate that and pull that out so that we could come together and serve and edify and glorify God. Love it. Through our works and through our calling. Yeah, I love that. And at the end of the day, we don't have room for egos in this, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of work to be done in the kingdom. Yeah. I don't want to do it by myself. And I know you don't want to do that either. And, the more aligned we are with ourselves and with God, I feel like the more we're going to be moving towards unity. Yeah. And I think having conversations like this is really helpful because we don't always talk about the patriarchy and how it does affect the way that we struggle to really, see each other eye to eye.
And I just appreciate you being willing to have this conversation.
Thank you for having it with me.
Yes, thank you for coming on and just giving us some of your wisdom. And if you could leave the audience with one thing, what would you say?
If you want to go fast, go alone.
Well.
And if you want to go far, go together.
Come on.
Right? We need each other, many members, one body.
I love it. That's beautiful. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, that's so beautiful. I love that. Well, you heard it from her. Heard it from Dinisha Mingo. Honestly, togetherness is what we need in the body, unity. And so I really appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you in the next episode.